good to have you with us.
Thank you.
Today we're having Craig Titley talk about his trip to Mattoon in a month and being from Mattoon for the Mattoon Arts Council and the Lebovitz Lively Workshop Series. So Craig, I just want to know more about your high school days. Kind of curious. First.
High school days in Mattoon?
Yes.
Oh, they were awesome. I had a group, we were kind of rebellious, but we were like smart rebels, doing clever little things, of which maybe statute of limitations is passed. We can't get arrested for them. But we had this group called Massive,
Okay.
which, founded by myself and a few other guys, a couple years older than us, a few younger than us. It was basically like a bleacher bums kind of thing, but we were instigators of chaos and mischief everywhere. We even had friend Rick Berg had a car that we painted up, called it the Massive Mobile.
Okay.
And yeah, we're just I think we're just mischief makers. I think when you're in a small town, as I always say, you have to make up your own excitement many times.
That's exactly right.
Which we did.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like crime or anything. Just one of the things we did, we took the bowling pin from Etog Bowling Alley and put it in front of the school the day before graduation. Giant bowling pin.
Wow. Clever.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're just clever and mischievous.
Do you feel like in your middle school days that you guys all started developing those friendships and got braver, older, wiser, or your creativity just was booming maybe in middle school?
Yeah, I think all of the above. We were just a group of people. We also seemed to be the smartest kids in class too, so they didn't quite know what to do with us. When you got the academically the top 10 students are the biggest mischief makers. What does one do in a situation like that? But I think we're just just about pushing boundaries and having fun and sort of thumbing our nose at authority, like all the great 80s
when
movies.
You bring up those names, Craig, like I was just a few years younger, so I didn't know you. Mm-hmm. But those things are still today. I mean, Massive, I don't think has dwindled. I think if anything, it's stayed consistent.
Yeah, still.
I'm not gonna put a date on it unless you want to.
It was 1984.
Yeah, which is a
possibly
big year for a lot of things. Yeah.
When we started it.
Okay, so I feel like your creativity and your braveness and all those things coupled together, quite a career. But just talking to you on a personal level, it seems like there were some sparks. Did you ever get inspired with some of your stories from your childhood friends, or?
Oh yeah, one of the first scripts I wrote. This is before I knew how to write a script, and it was awful. I still have it somewhere, which I should probably scan posterity. But it was the first time I wrote a script from beginning to end, 120 pages, which was quite an accomplishment because most people like, I'm going to write a script someday, and they never do. But it was about Massive. It's sort of a fictionalized version of Massive, where we bring down a drug ring. It's like Breakfast Club meets Lethal Weapon.
Oh my goodness.
So.
All right, so you still have that script, and so you get the script, you formalize it, you do it. So what do you do with it next? Or did you just say, wow, I did it, and then move on, or did people critique it?
Yeah, well, I thought it was brilliant at the time, and I didn't have a lot of connections or people to read it. I sent it to a few people, and they were polite, and years later, I looked at it and like, ooh. It was a necessary endeavor. It's the first time I had to figure out how to write a script and how to tell a story in 120 pages and how long a scene should be. So it was a very, very good learning experience. And the next script, it was infinitely better. It took me about a year to write because I was working as an assistant, and that's the one that launched my career. It didn't sell at the time. It sold like 3 years later.
Oh,
but
wow.
it got a lot of attention, including Chris Columbus, who read it and then hired me to write a picture and gave me a 2-picture deal. And got the attention of some executives at Fox, who then hired me to write or rewrite a script that they had. So it launched my career. But but yeah, that was, but I could not have written that had I not written the massive one.
And been inspired. Oh, it's always nice to hear Mattoon inspires those creatives. So when I hear this, I need to go back really quick. Breakfast Club meets what? Did you say Die Hard or what did you say?
Breakfast Club meets Lethal Weapon.
Thank you. Where did I get Die Hard? I don't know.
Something
Lethal
like that.
Weapon. Okay.
A little Red Dawn meets,
Oh, yeah.
But it was cool. It was like the heightened reality version of Massive, where we all hung out at this old, the fictionalized version. There's an old abandoned warehouse in the middle of nowhere where they hung out. It's kind of like the Bat Cave, and we had.
That's awesome.
And then,
that's awesome. Was there a hero in it? Are you the hero in it, or was there somebody else you picked as the hero? It's fiction.
No. It was the group. There was a main character. I changed all the names to protect the innocent. But it's kind of like the point of view. A new kid comes to town, so it's through his eyes, and I don't even remember now, but he ends up saved by this massive group, and they bring him into their secret.
It's pretty awesome.
Sanctorium.
Yeah, I'm a big Lost Boys type of fan, so that it's got a funny vibe to it. More Peter Pan-ish, not the.
Definitely had an 80s vibe.
Yeah, 80s had that, right? And there's a lot of things coming back around with gangs, if you will, or gangs of kids, not gangs bad, but kids getting together and making fun out of nothing, or an adventure or a mystery, if you will. So when I'm hearing this, I'm thinking you're like in your late 20s when this happened. So you got away from Mattoon.
Early 20s.
Early 20s. Okay.
When did so I came to California right after graduating from Eastern. So I would have been 22.
Okay.
Graduating high school, how about 18 when I graduated high school? So 22 when I graduated from Eastern. And so I would have been 23 when I wrote that first script.
Wow.
And then, yeah.
So, and you gave like a little bit of a timeline. So within like a 4 to 5 year, you're establishing yourself before your 30s. I mean, you're networking.
Yeah, I gave myself the 5 years to make it rule, which I heard Tom Cruise did. Like he gave himself 5 years to make it. And so I did. I got my first paying gig within 5 years of moving out there.
What do you feel like is your highlights that you feel like you've accomplished? I can read your bio over and over and it changes and it's going to change because you have new projects. But what are your highlights that you want people to know, or you can elaborate on it when you visit? Well,
there are a lot of things. I mean, the most fun I ever had, and I think just the most creative, I got to be working with a lot of creative people, was on Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is a wonderful show, a wonderful group of writers who are all inspiring, and we all got along really well. And just as a writer, it was fun because it's Marvel, first of all, but there's sci-fi and action and romance and comedy, and you never got bored as a writer because you're always doing something new. And so many great characters and so many great actors playing these characters that it was, we could have done that show for 30 years if they'd let us. And never got bored.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting when I heard about it. I didn't know at first that you were the writer. I just thought, what a great take, because we don't really get to know the ones that were behind the scenes, or the ones that show up in the shows with the main characters and the big superhero, that there's a whole administrative staff, if you will, making it happen for them and cleaning up messes. And there's a little bit more power there. And that's kind of the underdog, or the smart guys or smart girls. Yeah. Is that what I'm catching from you and the writers? Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of that in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, the original, I think, tagline was not all heroes have powers, or something like that. Of course, then some of our characters got powers, but it started like that. But yeah, it was just super fun. And then the other thing I'm most proudest of is outside of the movie business, because I always consider myself a failed rock star. That's what I wanted to be. And one of the meccas in rock and roll is the Whiskey A Go-Go, the club in Los Angeles. It's been around since the 60s. I mean, Zeppelin played there. It was the Doors. The Doors were there like 3 nights a week for years and all
Wow.
these great bands. And I met this young badass rock star, Tatiana De Maria, who had been in this band Tat and was going solo. And I talked her into letting me promote her first solo show at the Whiskey. For some
How'd
reason,
that go? Well, tell
it
me.
was great. We sold it out. Had posters designed, had a red carpet, even made here. I have it here. I even had a comic book. Including
Okay.
some of my friends that everybody that showed up
Ooh,
got a free comic book where I turned
very
her into a
cool.
superhero. It's like her adventures on getting to the Whiskey that night. So you read the comic book and it leads right up to the show. It was just an 8-page comic book, but it was fun. But for
You have
me,
that comic book? Are you still selling it, or is it? Where is it?
yeah, I think she's still, there's a few left
Okay.
she's selling on her website, TatianaDeMaria.com. But for me, that was just, and this was like 2018. But for
Mm-hmm.
me, who was well established in the film and television world, to sort of get to play in that rock and roll space and put on a show with a great artist at one of my favorite venues, that when I was in Mattoon, I'm like, someday I'm gonna go to LA and go to the Whiskey A Go Go,
Mm-hmm.
which is actually when I moved out here, the first place I wanted to see. I just wanted to,
Really? Okay,
yeah.
that's very cool. How
Uh,
many people can fit in this place? I'm just curious,
it's
venue
like
wise,
I think sellout is like 500 people.
because that's still a great sellout. There's a lot of
Oh
places
yeah,
that
yeah. I
are.
mean, everybody has played there. Kiss played there.
Mhm.
Alice Cooper. I mean, if you look it up on
Yes.
Wikipedia, it's literally the mecca of rock and roll. Everybody has played there.
Okay. Okay, so did you end up managing her? You say you do the posters? Did you have artists do it for you with your
No, no,
vision?
no. I it was funny because I was still working at Shields. So everybody sort of chipped in to help. So uh, our somebody in our graphic design department helped out with the posters, and then as we got closer to the show, our entire camera department DP is like, well, we can get you a good deal on a camera package and we can film this thing. So we had 4 cameramen shooting the whole thing, and we've cut it together. We haven't released it yet because there's some songs she played that hadn't been released yet. But we'll eventually release that film and an album. But I mean, it's as good a quality as like U2 or Taylor Swift, because we had like some of the best people in the business. Like, yeah, we're gonna be there anyway. Let us film it.
That's
And they
awesome.
filmed concert before, so they knew how to dress in black and move through
Yeah.
the crowd, so you didn't even notice they were there. But it's so someday we'll release that.
So again, we're at a place where, something was created, there's content, there's ideas, there's creative people all around. It's come together and it's still not even being released. The big phrase when I was in the entertainment industry pretty thick is, you're a 10-year overnight success. And that was the big phrase, and it sounds like you hit it pretty fast with 5. And here you're helping a performance artist, which our series that we're having you come, and the funding came from Carl Lebovitz, and he talked about performance art, visual art. What do you do? And that's why I was asking you about your middle school and your high school years, and how do we help kids get inspired for a career in this, but also going the career path to university if you can. And we're having things change in the world and the culture now about vocational and getting into communications and learning something and getting in the industry sooner. But you've kind of done both now. You've gone the rock star route where you can manage or be part of. You've got TV and film. What would you advise a performance artist, what you're looking for, or what they should be doing to promote themselves to somebody who's looking for somebody, like
Yeah,
at
well,
a younger age?
it's certainly much easier now than when I was there, because
Yeah.
now you have the internet and there's access. But first thing, you got to get clear on what the dream is, and you have to want it for the right reason. And I gladly will mentor anyone if they approach me and they have talent. But along the way, I found so many people just they want to be a writer, and they'll give you a script, and you're like, okay, it's like my massive script. It's okay, you got one done, but it needs a lot of work. You should probably put it aside, start something else, and then they give up because the first thing wasn't perfect. Well, I quit. I encountered that so many times, and well, you didn't want it bad enough,
Mm.
or they'll get frustrated, quit, or they develop an attitude like, well, no, this is perfect. You just don't get it. That's another thing, which is a defense mechanism.
We can go
Right.
into egos.
Yeah.
That'd be
You
more
gotta be open.
psychological direction.
You got to be open to criticism and listening to
Yeah.
people who know what they're doing. So that's the one thing: get clear on the dream, and then just work hard and want it for the right reasons. And so many people, they just want fame or fortune or it looks fun, because it's hard. I mean, I had to spend 5 years eating mac and cheese and ramen noodles, and working my butt off at a job during the day and then writing at night. It's not easy.
How long does a writing session typically last for you? I mean, could it
I'm
be?
generally pretty disciplined now. I treat it like a job, like 10 to 5, 10 to 6, take an hour for lunch. A lot of my day is split up between writing and then what I call career management, is like emails and things like this, and Zoom calls and pitching. But when I'm writing a script and it's focus time, I try to shut all that stuff down and maybe squeeze it in at the end of the day, emails and text and all that stuff, and just write 10 to 6.
Okay. Because I don't know that everybody's thinking about that about you. You know that middle schoolers and high schoolers, especially in Mattoon, and I can just say it, they're on schedules. They're doing one, sometimes they're going career focused. Sometimes they're going to an English class. They're trying to get all their prereqs and such. So, it's really time consuming to write. As a songwriter, they used to say the best thing you can do is write, just keep writing. And again, not perfectionism, keep writing, keep playing. So when I hear you say that, I would love to go back to the writing, the career management, the pitching, maybe when you do your visit, maybe get into the nuts and bolts of what that looks like, or a model of what it could be like for somebody, even like a portfolio of what they have already, or how do they build that portfolio to even get your attention as a person who would be looking for talent or want to mentor. So I think that the kids would like to hear more about that. I know that the schools are so excited to have you talk to them. And I know you visited here several times. When's the last time maybe you really spoke in Mattoon? Was it our event that we did with the TV and film? Or
Yeah, I think that was the year. I don't remember what year it was, 2018, 19, when Larry Smith, they had the Distinguished Alumni or thing. So I had to speak for that, and then I think that was the same time you knew I was going to be in town, so I spoke that little seminar on tutorial on how to write scripts.
I still have the PDF.
Oh, cool.
So it may be reused, right, with the new audience. I know the community has approached us too to ask if you're going to do something for the community, and maybe we'll discuss while you're in town. That the musical is happening, Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. Hello. So how does that work, Craig, where you wrote the scripts and then now it's a musical for theater? Does that
well, it's based on a book.
Yeah.
So I have nothing to do with the musical or the new TV series. The way that came about is like when the book, I think it's before it had been published or had just been published, and whoever controlled the book rights went to Chris Columbus. He had done Harry Potter. It's like, hey, maybe he'd want to do this. Chris liked it, and of course I'd worked with him before in the past, and he knew I was getting a PhD in mythological studies, so they sent me the book, and I liked it, and so then we talked about how we would do it, and then we went and met with Fox, and they're like, great, done. Hired me to write the script. The book was written with kids. It was very kid-ish, so we wanted to up the ages to make them teenagers. One of the things Chris wanted to do was go, if Harry Potter went this way, he wanted to go this way because he didn't want to repeat himself. So that required us changing a lot. When you up the age of the characters, it sort of changes things. And then, the movie would, if we included everything in the book, it would have been like an 8-hour movie. So I think now they're going to be able to do all of it as a TV series for Disney Plus. But we made a lot of changes for it, and I don't think the author appreciated that. Some of the fans like, you changed things, but other people liked it better. I mean, these things can coexist. Like I keep reminding people, you read the book Wizard of Oz and you see the movie Wizard of Oz, they're very, very different. You can love them both. You don't have to get mad at one or the other. Uh, but I'm proud of the movie, and did very, very well, and spawned a sequel, and has a huge fan base. So I'm happy that the writer of the novel gets to see the books made in their entirety as a TV series, because they don't have to like pack it all into 2 hours.
Right.
So I'm sure that'll be fulfilling for him, or frustrating, because it's always frustrating making a show. It's like these dreams of what it will be, and then budgets and everything get in the way, and you're like,
I mean, I just start thinking, my brain starts going to casting and keeping with the characters or similar to characters that people bonded with on the movie screen, and then becomes TV. And it's fascinating process. There's a lot to it.
Enough time has passed. That movie came out 12 years ago, 13 years ago. So, the series will be brand new, and a new audience and everything. And
have you ever seen, though, the musical that the high school's putting on? Have you ever just seen how they take the story with the musical? You've not seen it.
I know nothing about it, so I will be completely surprised.
Okay. So I'm hoping that you can go Thursday or Friday when you visit, and that's March 30th or 31st. And we're working on all the deets where you're going to be during the day, and we'll get you a ticket. I'm sure they'll make sure you can go. And I think it'd be neat to hear what you have to say afterward too.
Cool.
And be ideal if you could go Thursday night, and then Friday the kids get to hear from you. We're finding that even if they have to do a live stream with you on that Friday of the 31st, that you could do Q&A with them too, and have a facilitator like myself or one of the school people from Lyft. That's what we're trying to do. So I think there'll be some question and answers after seeing this video. Is what I'm thinking. And
fun for me too, because I think it's fun with the Percy Jackson thing that it lives in so many spaces now. You got the book series, you got the 2 movies, you're going to have the TV series, and then the musical. And I think it's pretty cool.
Well, that's really what I wanted to talk to you about today. And did you know Carl Lebovitz by chance, or know of him?
Yeah, he's kind of a legend.
He's a legend. And I don't know if you've seen, we just started releasing that Mary Fons has already visited, and we're going to have Christina DeLay, who is a fantasy writer and award-winning author of books. And then we have Temple Grandin coming in October, talking about art and visual and industrial engineering. So there's a really neat wide variety. I think I knew Carl personally also, but the idea is to honor him. He was one of our founding members of the Mattoon Arts Council. We formed and established in 1999. So Carl was always involved, and he left a substantial scholarship for kids to go to college, Mattoon High School seniors specifically, in visual and performance arts. So my goal is that we have recorded information and interviews, but also face-to-face if we can, and asking the right questions about what do we do, or what did you guys do? What are your stories? And it's been really great to get to know you even better. And I love that Massive was the inspiration. I did not know that today. I learned something. I had some family members after I left in the 90s who continued it on. I'd be curious now to know, is there still Massive going? I should know that. That's going to be my question next.
I think there is. Many people have claimed to have founded it over the years, but I know who really founded it.
That's the power of when they own it themselves after you've done the initial work. That's a power thing, let them have excitement with it. I know them, like I said, the Mattoon teachers are really grateful, and the high school and the middle school teachers. So I'm going to be giving them this video. There's a Futures Day at the high school, March 1st, and this video may be played there. I'll take some clips and let them say hi to you. And I know that people are looking forward to meeting you in person.
Yeah. And, what's fun, it just made me think of, because I was just back in Mattoon last week.
Right.
And I was thinking like the 3 things that really formed me coming out of Mattoon was Massive, that friendship, and just the creative camaraderie. I mean, that was my band, you know, and
Yeah.
like the Riders of Shield. That was my first band of brothers, you know.
Yeah.
There's that great inspiring teachers in junior high and high school. A special shout out who just recently passed away, Del Willison,
Oh,
my senior honors English teacher, who he got my strange, quirky personality and my rebel spirit, and just encouraged me to chase my dream. And then the other thing, I did a strange thing before I left town. I pulled over to the parking lot where the Carasotas Theater used to be, and I just got out of my car, and I literally, by memory, walked in. And here's who I walked in. Here's the ticket counter. Here's the concession stand. I walked this far. This is how I get back. And so I literally stood in where the theater would have been, where I watched so many movies. And to me, it was like walking on holy ground. It's just a parking lot now, but I mean, I spent so much time in that theater, and it's so transforming. I mean, I saw Superman there. I saw Empire Strikes Back and Rambo. I mean, just the crazy amount of movies I saw there, and across the street at the Time Theater too. But just, it's sad that it's gone, but it was weird just standing there. It's like, this is sacred ground to me.
that's really neat. We may have to get a picture of you standing there.
Well, I took a picture of the parking lot with my shadow.
We get a little bird's eye view. Here's where this was. And yeah, I went to those too as a young girl. And you know, downtown was really fun back in the late 80s, early 90s, kind of.
Yeah.
So it's fun to have you be so enthusiastic about it. And we've had a lot of changes downtown, but I think that we're making great strides and becoming part of our own art district. And it's just been really, really neat to see the progress and to have you with us. And it was great to have you visit Mattoon. And I mean, it was great to see that you were also meeting with the friends that were part of Massive. You know, you come back and you see them and you reconnect. And I think that's amazing.
Yeah. We're friends and brothers forever.
Yes. And I would think that most of these, our connections and relationships, are super important. If I could say that out loud again.
For sure. Yeah.
And to take the attitude out of it, like you said, and also be careful of perfectionism. I think it can sometimes be a goal, but it can also break you, and finding out who you are. Yeah. That's what I'm hearing from you. You've embraced you.
Struggle with perfectionism a lot. Still do. It's like, not good enough.
Right. But don't let it stop you, right?
Just let it inspire you to be better, but don't let it become like let it be the balloon that lifts you and not the anchor that pulls you down, you know?
Is that a t-shirt? Do you already have that trademark?
I don't know where that came from. I may have read that somewhere. I may have just made it up. Who knows?
You may have some intellectual property there, sir.
Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe. Well, I know you only had a little bit of time today and you have other meetings, and so do I, but I am so grateful for your time, and I'll be in touch about this video. And again, we're looking forward to your visit to Mattoon at the end of March.
Me too. I can't wait.
Take care.
All right. I'll see you there. All right.
Bye.